Hello and welcome to BloombergQuint. The Indian economic slowdown, we've heard a lot about it from the macro level, we've heard about it from the perspective of centers' finances. We're trying to make an attempt to understand what's happening in the ground in states and how it's impacting their finances. Joining us today on this conversation is Mr. Jayant Patil, who's holding the Ministry of Finance in the government of Maharashtra. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. So like I started by saying, states in some ways are closest to the ground. So I want your perspective on what you're seeing in Maharashtra in terms of the slowdown and then the manner in which it's impacting the finances at the state level.
Now lately in last year and a half, industrialists have experienced certain sort of less sale, therefore less production, and therefore reduction in workforce. Everything is happening in last 1 year, and I am afraid that possibly in next immediate 1 year or year and a half, we may come across more incidences of closure of some small factories, medium factories. You talk to any investor, anybody who has come in Maharashtra, people by and large say that their business has gone down by 20-30%. So the growth which we are expecting in the economy is not happening. And if Maharashtra is not growing with effective 7.5%, 8%, I think it is going to affect overall Indian growth picture also.
So I think the budget, when it was announced, the Maharashtra budget by the previous government, they had talked about 12% growth in nominal terms, inflation included. Can you give us a sense of what would it look like right now after having made some assessment?
We have not gone through all the numbers, but the budget making has begun now. So definitely we are not touching what we claimed last year. It could be in the range of 8% or I am not sure.
Okay.
But probably by end of January, we will come to know what is the second quarter result is, a third quarter result is. So I am sure it is not as per the expectation. It's going down. It has gone down to a considerable level.
Obviously, that would be impacting your revenue collections as well. Yeah. Again, can you give us some flavor on the kind of hit that states are taking, sir?
Now, as far as stamp and registration is concerned, or excise duties are concerned, it is as per the expectation.
Okay.
But GST collection is not as per the expectation. But now it is picking up. In the month of, I was told in the month of November, it has come up again. So probably we are hoping that December, January, we do well. But still we have asked for compensation from central government. The compensation is to the tune of about 8,600 crore. So far, for the last 4 months, out of which 2 months compensation is transferred to the state. So almost 4,400 crores have come to the state. This compensation is legitimately due from the central government for GST. So we have not achieved 14%. So that is the compensation for not achieving that 14% growth.
Okay. And just like other states, you're also facing the same problems and delays in timelines of payment.
In fact, last GST meeting in Delhi on 18th, all the states were insisting that the subject of compensation should be considered first, taken first. So every state has got a hit. And all the states are looking up to union government for helping them. Now the commitment initially from the union government was, yes, they will compensate. But now the Union government is saying there is a cess which is levied on many products, items, and whatever money is collected in that cess kitty will be used for compensation, which is less than what all the states are expecting.
So that puts them in a tough spot. Sir, more broadly, do you think in this post-GST era for states, it's become very difficult in times of a slowdown because the items you have control over are very limited? For instance, Maharashtra state, petroleum is already at the highest level of taxation compared to. So you don't have much flexibility and you're more and more dependent on the center in some ways.
Yes, actually, petrol and diesel, these are the only two products which states can change very value-added tax on that because they are not included in GST so far. So there is hardly any flexibility for the states. Even as far as if they want to, any state wants to do something extra for effective compliance, collecting taxes effectively, they have hardly any room except whatever GST Act is. If they implement it very effectively, probably the situation may improve eventually.
Sir, in a tight situation like this, and Maharashtra is luckier because your fiscal deficit is lower than the 3% number. I think 2% was the targeted number. Do you have enough room to spend? There's a lot of people saying that governments have to spend in a situation like this. Does Maharashtra have the room, sir?
Actually, what has happened is the numbers which we have got in our hand after taking over by the new government, it hardly has any room because our fiscal deficit is almost touching 3%.
Really?
Yeah. With the supplementary demands which we have placed before the House this time, we will be revenue deficit on a large scale.
More than 1%, sir? Revenue deficit?
Almost, and not 1%, but less, but not fiscal deficit is we are touching 3%. The revenue deficit is sizable, but we can overcome. We are doing many things so that the revenue deficit may come under control.
Any hints on what you're doing, because there is a large spend on farm loan waiver which will come up.
We are reducing expenditure in areas where it is not a priority sector for us. So, and we have announced farmer loan waiver. We will take care of that this year partially and next year completely. So after March, April, May, I think we will complete this loan waiver thing. But that we have no other option because farmers of Maharashtra have suffered a lot in last 5 years. Mainly last October there was untimely rain. In July, August also flooding in many areas. So almost in 33 districts of Maharashtra, more than 23,000 villages have been affected, and more than 94 lakh hectares of land, farmers tilling the land, is affected. So we have asked some help from Government of India. We are hoping that Government of India helps us in both the scenario, both the incidences. July, August, we had heavy rainfall and flood-like situation in many districts, and September, October, untimely rainfall, and both the time Government of India, last government asked help from Government of India, Devendra Fadnavis government. But so far the help has not come. But hopefully we will receive some help.
But sir, in Maharashtra, this farm loan waiver has almost become a rolling program, sir. I think there was one announced and deadlines were extended. Now you've announced a fresh one. Surely on a longer term basis, you want to find a solution.
No, actually the problem in Maharashtra is Maharashtra farmers are affected by drought in year 15, 16, 17 and almost 18 these 3-4 years. Marathwada, Vidarbha, many regions, western Maharashtra, they faced drought-like situation. Thereafter, these untimely rains and whatnot you say. But the problem is, because of this, most of the families, farming families, are not able to take fresh loan. So there is no other way. Last government, Devendra Fadnavis gave waiver, the loan waiver. That is just loan which was not sufficiently waived off. 1.5 lakh rupees loan waiver was given, and there were a lot of ifs and buts. So not many farmers were covered. And last government announced a loan waiver scheme to the tune of 35,000 crores. Ultimately, when it came down to the final number, it was some 18,000 crore rupees. So there was a demand by the farmers that this is not a sufficient loan waiving scheme. Now I do agree that it affects the banks also, banking sector also, because farmers may now think that they need not pay. So we are making it clear to all of them that this should be the loan waiver scheme, which may not be repeated again. And if we support farmers, I am sure they will also start cultivating their lands. Because of defaults, they were not getting fresh loans. So I think in a way the growth rate of farming sector has also come down. So this also will help farming sector to improve the growth rate.
How much do you expect to spend on this waiver, the 2 lakh one that you announced?
We are not deliberately announcing the number.
Okay.
Because last government did it and they did not even touch 50% of that amount. So we are restraining ourselves from declaring the final amount, but it will be a big number.
So at a bigger picture again, so in your case, in Maharashtra's case, there are farm loan waivers. In some states, there are very heavy discom losses. There's a feeling that revenue expenditure is picking up, and so capital expenditure is getting compromised. Do you see that particularly in the current situation in Maharashtra where you have a limited pool to spend?
Definitely, it will affect capital expenditure percentage wise. If you see, last government also the capital expenditure has gone down. So we need to look at this aspect also, and unless and until we spend more on capital expenditure increased will definitely help the economy in long term. But farmer waiving scheme, farmer loan waiver scheme was so important that it was our commitment in the election also. NCP also committed to people, and Shiv Sena also had made the commitment, and so the Congress also. So loan waiving was something which we wanted to do immediately.
Even on healthcare, sir, is that a priority area of spending right now on the healthcare scheme or health insurance?
Healthcare, rural development, and mainly most of the social sectors, we will not allow anybody to affect those sectors. I don't think anything will go wrong, because we will have, actually the state is suffering a lot because of the 7th pay commission burden. So last year and this year, we will have some stress, but I am sure after a year or so, this burden will not be so much.
So two quick questions. One is on slightly longer term. I know it's early to ask you, but in terms of infrastructure, spending on infrastructure, do you have a plan in mind in which you can draw in resources even outside of the state's budget, whether it's through off-budget means or more foreign investments in individual projects? Do you have thinking on that line, sir?
No, actually, most of the infrastructure projects of metro, then the Samruddhi Marg, the new highway which is taking place from Nagpur to Mumbai, Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link, and the coastal road. These are the main projects of the state government. They have been tackled through a different body, MMRDA, Mumbai Metropolitan Regional Development Authority. So this authority is taking loan, and their financial strength is fairly good. So I don't think raising money and completing those projects will affect at all.
But you offer a guarantee to them, right? The state offers a guarantee, I think.
We not too many projects. In fact, last week we have taken decision that in this Samruddhi Marg, we have increased our equity by 3,500 crore rupees, thereby reducing the loan burden and the interest burden also.
Sir, a question on the financial sector because of the presence of cooperative banks here. I think you have already made a comment on the PMC bank issue that you could consider a merger with another state. Do you have a plan to sort of relook at the sector, clean up where required? Although there is also a proposal that the RBI would be given far greater powers over cooperative banks. Any thoughts, sir?
No, PMC bank case, we were thinking we could merge the bank into Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank. But unfortunately what has happened is Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank is a bank of the state only.
Yes.
And PMC is a multi-state bank. So it cannot be merged into MSC Bank. Now we are trying to request RBI that they should consider another bank who can take over the PMC Bank. So the merger is the only option. So I hope RBI also takes initiative and allows it to be merged into another large-scale bank.
Okay. And more broadly, would you like to relook over your term at the state cooperative banks and state cooperative lenders, sir?
State cooperative bank and in some district central cooperative banks have come in red, mainly Bid, Nanded and some district central cooperative banks. So restructuring those banks or helping those banks and making local farmers take the loan and all the different schemes from the district central cooperative bank, which is a prime lending bank in those districts. That is our priority. Because in some districts, farmers are not getting loan from District Central Cooperative Bank for their crop loan. So this is not a good situation. We want to improve those banks. We want to do some cleaning in these banks. We will definitely do it.
Okay. So last question, and this is something which many states are fearful of, is the new Finance Commission's recommendations. Are you worried about the devolution formula? Certain attempts to create a separate fund for defense or other means in which the devolution in the new Finance Commission's report would go against states perhaps?
Now the 14th Finance Commission's tenure is almost over. So we will begin with 15th Finance Commission. And the state has demanded various things from when the Finance Commission visited the state of Maharashtra. As an opposition party, we also visited them. We had a meeting with them. We have given quite good suggestions to them. And of course, we feel that since many years, devolution formula has been helping the states which are backward, so to say. Now, this is happening almost. I was finance minister in 1999 till 2010, and in each and every meeting we used to request Central Finance Commission that devolution should be based on the efficiency of the state. Now hopefully this 15th Finance Commission may do something, and since good governance is happening hopefully in UP and Bihar, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, now we don't expect Finance Commission to expect these states as backward anymore. So if they are doing well, I think the devolution formula should also change, and all the states, based on population, based on geography, based on their like drinking water problem and other issues, the devolution tax formula should be designed so the urbanization in the state, the infrastructure need of all the urban bodies in the state, and the vast area. Now state like UP, state like Bihar, they are large state. So Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu. So that geographical challenge also which these states are facing, that should be also taken into account while designing the devolution formula.
I'll leave it at that, Mr. Patil. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Today.